Hello there and welcome to Kakaaki, the African Voice on Africa Independent Television, AIT. My name is Kunle Adewale and it's good to be with you again this Monday morning. It's the 20th day of July 2026 and the month of July is also rolling very quickly to an end. I hope you had a good weekend and it's good to have you join us this morning on the program to open your day. So let's tell you what we have for you this morning on Kakaaki, the African Voice. The 69th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government held on Sunday in Freetown, Sierra Leone. The summit focused on regional security, democratic governance, economic integration, and infrastructure development. Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye was elected ECOWAS chairman, taking over from Sierra Leone's Julius Maada Bio, while Biram Diop emerged secretary of the regional bloc, taking over from Omar Touré. West African leaders and regional institutions had held a series of meetings for over a week to review the sub-region's challenges and adopt strategic resolutions. There were a number of informal bilateral and multilateral meetings held on the sidelines of the summit where far-reaching agreements were reached. One of such meetings was held between Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Shola Enikonlaye, and Ghana's Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Ablakwa, to discuss the recent attacks on African migrants in South Africa and the implications of the xenophobic violence on Pan-Africanism. The outcome was an agreement for both countries to pursue coordinated action to address the resurgence of xenophobic attacks against African nationals across the continent. On Kakaaki, the African Voice this Monday, we'll be taking a look at the ECOWAS Media Summit and the decisions reached. We will also focus on the meeting between the Nigerian and Ghanaian foreign ministers and what lies ahead as both countries agree to jointly address the xenophobic situation in South Africa. Global Affairs analyst Paul Ejime covered the civil wars in Liberia and Sierra Leone as a correspondent embodied with the ECOWAS monitoring group known as ECOMOG, the ECOWAS ceasefire monitoring group at that time. He's now a consultant on peace, security, and strategic governance communications. He joins us on the program to x-ray the high points of the ECOWAS mid-year summit. Now, approximately 50,000 women and girls worldwide are killed annually by intimate partners or family members, averaging 137 deaths every day. This translates to a woman being intentionally killed by someone in our own home every 10 minutes, representing about 60% of all global intentional female homicides. Femicide in Nigeria has escalated into a severe national emergency. Grassroots monitoring and activist groups report that approximately one woman or girl is killed every 49 hours across the country due to gender-related violence. This crisis encompasses intimate partner violence, domestic abuse, ritual killings, and economic-motivated violence. Because Nigeria lacks centralized public documentation systems for gender-specific homicides, non-governmental trackers have become the primary source for statistics, with some accused of exaggeration and others said to have underreported the number of cases. A group known as the DOHS Cares Foundation tracked 133 cases in 2024, which spiked significantly to 197 documented deaths in 2025. Whether under or over-reported, the fact remains that femicide cases are occurring and are on the rise too. Last week, on Kakaaki Socials alone, we brought you 2 femicide-related deaths. That's the stories about those deaths and husbands account for the highest percentage of identified perpetrators, closely followed by boyfriends, fiancés, and male acquaintances. The states with the highest rates of reported femicide include Lagos, Delta, Rivers, Edo, Abia, Kano, and the Federal Capital Territory. Femicide has been in Nigeria for quite some time now, but cabinet seems to be a matter being handled with kid gloves. The ambiguity of the laws against femicide has been identified as a major problem. Even when there is no ambiguity, implementation appears to be a major hurdle to attempts to see that justice is done to perpetrators and for victims of femicide. Victims are said to be either slow in reporting or not even reporting it at all. But it's becoming clearer by the day that it can't continue like this. So, what needs to be done? By who and how should it be done? These are questions that we'll be getting answers to when we are joined by media and development strategist and women rights defender Dorothy Njemanze. She will join us later on the program. But don't forget, you can join us too. You can be part of the program by sending your views and comments to all our social media handles on Facebook, X, Instagram, and of course on YouTube. At Africa Independent TV is where you'll find us. That will enable you to stay up to date with the latest news from around the globe. So that's the outlook for this morning. For now, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you the world news from the news desk. Thank you for staying with us. You are watching Kakaaki, the African Voice, and this is the World News. And we begin on a sad note this morning as dozens of people are missing after a passenger ferry carrying more than 100 people sank off the coast of Guyana in South America. Authorities say at least 67 passengers, including 15 children, have been rescued so far following the incident late on Saturday night. The vessel, identified as MV Barima, was said to be carrying 116 passengers along with 17 crew members when it capsized in the North Atlantic en route Port Kaituma. A distress call was received at about 11:01 p.m. local time, prompting an immediate search and rescue operation. Prime Minister Mark Phillips says efforts will continue until all possible survivors are accounted for. Meanwhile, emergency family assistance centers have been set up to provide information and support to relatives of those on board. Canada has announced a temporary travel restriction for foreign nationals who have recently visited the Democratic Republic of Congo, effective July 20, that is today. This measure, intended to mitigate public health risks related to Ebola, contradicts World Health Organization guidance, which advises against travel restrictions during outbreaks to prevent stigma and facilitate disease control. As of July 15, the Congo has reported over 2,100 Ebola cases and 828 deaths. The U.S. has also implemented similar travel measures, and 7 American aid workers in Kenya are currently in quarantine after working in the Congo. In the meantime, health officials have identified iceberg lettuce from Taylor Farms as the source of a cyclosporiasis outbreak in the U.S. The FDA confirmed the lettuce sample tested positive for the parasite, but was not part of a current recall. Taylor Farms is voluntarily removing all iceberg lettuce sourced from central Mexico. So far, 94 hospitalizations have occurred, but no deaths have been reported. Symptoms of the illness can emerge up to 2 weeks after infection. The Center for Disease Control, CDC, advises against consuming shredded iceberg lettuce from Taco Bell in 5 states. The fast food chain has removed the affected lettuce from its locations. The United States has launched airstrikes on Iran for the 8th consecutive night following the deaths of 2 U.S. service members in Jordan. U.S. Central Command reported that the strikes targeted Iranian coast surveillance and air defense systems to reduce Iran's threat to navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. This military escalation coincides with a collapsing ceasefire agreement and ongoing attacks from both sides. The U.S. aims to punish Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps for its role in the attack on U.S. personnel. Additionally, Israeli authorities are preparing for potential expanded operations, including increased U.S. refueling support. The conflict, which began in February with strikes on Iran's nuclear and missile facilities, has led to disruptions in energy supplies and fears of global economic instability. The U.S. military reported that 1 soldier was killed and another injured in northern Iraq due to an Iranian attack linked to a controlled detonation of unexploded ordnance from a downed Iranian drone. This incident followed a prior attack in Jordan that killed 2 U.S. soldiers and left 1 missing. The U.S. and Iran have engaged in mutual strikes for the 8th consecutive day, with Iranian media indicating that various sites, including a nuclear power plant and an electricity facility in Kuwait, were targeted. Jordan's military intercepted multiple Iranian missiles in response, while the Jordanian government demanded an end to the Iranian aggression, asserting its security as a red line. Secretary of State for the state of Maine in the U.S., Shenna Bellows, has withdrawn from the Democratic race for the U.S. Senate, narrowing the field just days before the party selects its candidate for November's election. In a statement on Sunday, Bellows said she is stepping aside to focus on her current role and called on Democrats to unite quickly in a bid to unseat Republican Senator Susan Collins. A withdrawal comes as the party struggles to regroup following the exit of its earlier nominee, Graham Plattner, who dropped out of the race amid a sexual assault allegation. Democrats are now under pressure to consolidate support around a new candidate ahead of what is expected to be a closely watched contest. And controversial influencer Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan have been arrested in the U.S. after UK authorities charged them with an additional 38 offenses, bringing the total to 59. Andrew faces 7 counts of rape alongside charges of sex trafficking and possession of indecent images of a child, while Tristan is charged with 2 counts of rape and 3 counts related to trafficking for sexual exploitation. These alleged offenses occurred between July 2010 and August 2017. The Tate brothers, who deny any wrongdoing, are dual British U.S. citizens, and extradition proceedings are set to begin following their arrest, confirmed by U.S. Marshals. Their lawyer asserts their innocence. The European Union, in partnership with Search for Common Ground, is using reality television as an innovative platform to promote youth empowerment, entrepreneurial leadership, and peace building. Ahead of the show, participants from the conflict-affected states of Katsina, Sokoto, and Zamfara are undergoing an intensive training boot camp designed to equip them with entrepreneurial leadership and practical business skills needed to become agents of positive change in their communities.
Beyond preparing contestants for the competition, this initiative seeks to nurture a new generation of young entrepreneurs and community leaders by building their confidence, strengthening their problem-solving abilities, and encouraging innovation. Organizers say the program is designed to empower young people with sustainable livelihood skills, promote economic self-reliance, and foster peaceful coexistence through entrepreneurship and collaboration among participants from conflict-affected communities.
The idea was really to concentrate on the Northwest. So our hope is to really be inspiring other youth, and maybe elsewhere in the country and abroad, to take their talent and try and see if it works out and making all the effort to get it.
Every time young people are being seen as a perpetrator of violence, we want to show that if given the opportunity, young people can also be actor for peace.
Participants also shared how the bootcamp is enhancing their entrepreneurial mindset, leadership capacity, and readiness to transform innovative ideas into viable businesses.
Government is making great efforts in peace building. Non-governmental organizations like the Search for Common Ground are making efforts as well. So it's time for entrepreneurs to come in as well. And one approach I'm going to bring through my skill is to create a hub that brings people together to discover, especially young people, discover their potentials.
For me, as a calligrapher and a paint artist, we have a lot of creative mindsets in Zamfara State. So using them and bringing a floor that people will value creativity. Through that creativity, people can tend to advocate for peace.
Through the Hustle reality TV show, the European Union and Search for Common Ground are investing in the next generation of entrepreneurs and leaders, demonstrating how youth empowerment and enterprise can contribute to lasting peace and sustainable development in conflict-affected communities. Chidera Isdei, AIT News, Abuja.
Senegal's President Bassirou Faye has emerged the new chairman of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. He replaces Sierra Leone's Julius Maada Bio, who completed his term. Opening the summit, President Bio requested and asked for the robust implementation of ECOWAS protocols. Vice President Kashim Shettima, who represented Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu at the summit, affirmed the country's commitment to regional peace, trade, and infrastructural development. Preceding the summit, the ECOWAS Administration and Finance Committee met to finalize recommendations on institutional performance, accelerating infrastructure development, and establishing bankable public-private partnership. South Korea has issued its first emergency heatwave alert due to extreme temperatures, marking the activation of a new warning system that alerts when perceived temperatures reach 38 degrees Celsius or actual temperatures hit 39 degrees Celsius even for one day. Residents are urged to cease outdoor activities and seek cooler environments. Many regions, including parts of Seoul, remain under standard heatwave warnings, which apply when perceived temperatures exceed 35 degrees Celsius for 2 consecutive days. This new system aims to improve responses to increasingly frequent heat waves, as data indicates a significant rise in both heatwave days and tropical nights over the past 5 years. Residents in Seoul are seeking relief at public fountains and air-conditioned spaces. As Nigeria commemorates the 2026 International Day Against Drug Abuse, the Association of Resident Doctors, ARD, at the Rivers State University of Technology Hospital is calling on healthcare professionals to take a more active role in tackling the growing concern of drug abuse, especially among youths. Speaking at a health symposium to mark the day, the president of the association, Dr. Harold Brown, said healthcare professionals have a major role to play, not only in identifying individuals struggling with substance abuse, but also in educating and supporting them on their journey to recovery.
The growing incidence of drug abuse among youths is alarming. The consequences have far-reaching impact not only on the users, but also on families, workplaces, and the entire community. The International Day Against Drug Abuse Symposium held in Port Harcourt, South Nigeria, by the Association of Resident Doctors was aimed at creating awareness on the importance of the day and proffering solutions through a coordinated approach to prevention, early intervention, and treatment.
In today's message, it is far better to prevent addiction than to struggle to recover from it. As As healthcare professionals, students, our responsibility goes beyond treating addiction. We must educate, advocate, identify those at risk, and support policies that promote prevention. Every life we prevent from entering the cycle of substance abuse is a future preserved, a family protected, and a community made stronger.
Basically starts with health education. One, substance abuse is beyond just the availability of the substance and then taking it. It's taking it the wrong way. That's one. Two, also there are some illicit drugs that shouldn't be taken and should be kept away. So when we start educating not just our family members but the community, it is important because that way we're already stopping some of these problems that we face. While delivering the keynote address on the theme, the evidence is clear. Invest in prevention, break the cycle, stop organized crime. A consultant psychiatric at the Rivers State University Teaching Hospital, Dr. Metu Izochukwu, advised youth to desist from drug intake, adding that living a drug-free lifestyle empowers individuals to achieve their goals and live a more fulfilling lives.
Right? If you start chasing pleasure instead of purpose, and you get yourself involved in the use of substance, it's going to hijack the prefrontal cortex, which helps you in decision making, in planning, in judging, organizing yourself.
It's important to create awareness, to create sensitization in our families, in our churches, around us, in our neighborhood, even in our schools, that drugs are very dangerous to health.
The event was attended by stakeholders, including members of the Nigeria Medical Association, students, representatives of the NDLEA, and other health professionals. Igogon Akabui, AIT News, Port Harcourt.
Residents of Songwater in Ogun State are appealing to President Bola Tinubu to urgently intervene over what they described as worsening infrastructure, healthcare, and economic conditions across the state, insisting that despite increased federal allocations and other government interventions, many communities have yet to feel the impact. Speaking on behalf of the group in Songwater at the weekend, the group spokesperson, Olawoye Kayode, said roads across Ogun State's 20 local government areas have deteriorated significantly, disrupting economic activities, delaying access to healthcare services, and leaving commuters stranded for hours. The communities want President Tinubu to approve emergency intervention on critical road networks, strengthening of oversight of public funds, improvement of primary health care, support of erosion control measures, and expansion of youth employment opportunities. He expressed confidence that the timely intervention by the federal government will restore hope and improve the living conditions of residents.
Spend 4 hours on a 20-minute journey. Pregnant women deliver in traffic. Goods have become rocks. Lives are lost. It has been reported by several media houses, yet nothing is done.
If you go to most of our roads at Ogbota, they are death trap and they are in a deplorable state. We can begin to mention and list them one after the other.
So there's nothing we are benefiting from government in this particular area, and we are unable to speak out our mind. For Moga here now, Moga is not our mouth to speak on behalf of us, so that government of Ogun State and the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, can hear about our plight.
On behalf of over 6 million people of Ogun State and over 20 million voters who believe in you, we beseech you, our people's president, to please help us.
The group also raised concerns about the condition of primary healthcare centers, alleging that many facilities lack essential drugs, reliable electricity, and adequate medical personnel. It further noted that erosion has displaced families and destroyed livelihoods in several communities, calling for urgent and coordinated government action. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has urged residents of flood-prone communities across Nigeria to heed early warning alerts and relocate to safer locations as the rainy season intensifies. NEMA said residents should take proactive measures to safeguard their lives and property by activating community-level flood mitigation measures and responding promptly to warnings issued by relevant government agencies. Director General of NEMA, Zubeida Umar, said the current period of heightened rainfall requires increased vigilance, urging residents in at-risk communities to move to higher ground whenever there is a threat of flooding. She also advised members of the public to avoid driving or walking through floodwaters, refrain from dumping refuse into drainage channels, and promptly reporting emergency situations to the appropriate authorities to enable timely response. According to the NEMA Director General, preparedness and early evacuation remains the most effective ways of preventing avoidable loss of lives and reducing the impact of flooding during the peak of the rainy season. Political parties at the forthcoming governorship election in Osun State have signed the Peace and Accountability Charter designed to steer the state's political discourse towards issue-based campaigns before, during, and after the August 15 governorship election. The charter was signed during the Osun 2026 Democratic Governance, Peace and Electoral Integrity Summit organized by the Osun Development Association.
Before signing the Peace and Accountability Charter, the political parties present were challenged to comply with the electoral laws and carry out their campaigns based on issues that are crucial to the people of Osun State. The convener of the Peace Summit, Osun Development Association, revealed that adherence to the Peace Charter will play a significant role in ensuring a credible and peaceful August 15 governorship election in the state.
The election environment in Osun State has already displayed warning signs that should concern every responsible individual or institution. We want to urge all connected with the coming election to do the right things in the interest of our people.
No political ambition is worth this blood of any citizen. Every disagreement must remain within the boundaries of the law, and that every vote must count and every voter matters.
Other stakeholders also present at the event urged all the governorship candidates to convince the electorate to gain their support through their ideas, competency, and character, rather than through intimidation, vote buying, or violence.
A man who cannot keep peace while seeking leadership position has already disqualified himself from the duty of keeping development once power is granted.
The people of Osun, your PVC is your voice. Use it. To the candidates, power is borrowed. History is watching. To our youth, you are not the leaders of tomorrow. You are the trustees of today.
The political parties in Osun State were called to publicly renounce violence and to discipline their members involved in any electoral misconduct. Olatunde Olajide, AIT News, Osogbo.
With the continuous voter registration exercise entering its final days, eligible residents of Cross River State are urged to register for their permanent voter cards to enable them participate in the 2027 general elections. The call comes as stakeholders seek to boost voter participation and reverse the low turnout that has characterized recent elections in Nigeria.
For every election, participation begins with voter registration. Without a permanent voter card, eligible Nigerians cannot vote or influence the choice of those who govern them. At a gathering held in Calabar, the Inter-Party Advisory Council (IPAC) urged eligible residents yet to register to take advantage of the remaining days of the exercise.
The remaining days present the final opportunity for every eligible Cross-Riverian to secure his or her place in history by registering to vote. Our message today is simple and clear. No voters card, no voice. No registration, no participation.
The council also appealed to community groups to encourage eligible residents to register, saying broader participation will give more citizens a voice in determining the state's future.
We are proud of the response we receive from Perseverance. With the ongoing mobilization and the cooperation of INEC and every stakeholder involved in this exercise, Cross River State is on course to record not less than 2.5 million votes in the 2027 general elections.
As the registration exercise winds down, the real test of Nigeria's democracy will not only be on how many people register, but how many eventually turn out to vote when the country returns to the polls in 2027. In Emersat Ifiok, AIT News, Calabar.
2 kidnapped victims have been rescued by troops of the 12th Brigade Nigerian Army in collaboration with local vigilantes in Yagba West local government area of Kogi State. A statement by the Acting Assistant Director, Army Public Relations 12th Brigade of Nigerian Army, Lieutenant Hassan Abdullahi, explained that the terrorists had invaded a residence near Solid Rock School in Egbe in the late hours of June 3, 2026 and abducted 5 members of a family, including a woman and her infant. Lieutenant Abdullahi also explained that troops under 2 Division Nigerian Army immediately mobilized alongside members of the vigilante group of Nigeria, launching a hot pursuit along the withdrawal route of the terrorists. Abdullahi said pressure mounted on the invading terrorists by the a joint security team forced them to abandon one Mrs. Adekemidu and a 6-month-old child near the Oro axis before fleeing into the surrounding forest. The spokesman confirmed that the rescued victims have been returned safely to their residence, while troops continue aggressive search and rescue operations in the general area to free the 3 remaining victims and apprehend the perpetrators. Lieutenant Hassan Abdullahi reiterated that the Nigerian Army remains resolutely committed to protecting lives and property in Kogi State, but appealed to members of the community to continue to provide timely and credible information to support ongoing security operations. That's the world news on Kakaaki, the African Voice. Thank you for staying with us, but don't go away. We have more reports for you on Kakaaki Business.
Welcome to Kakaaki Business. The European Commission proposed an overhaul of the EU's emissions trading system, allowing industry to emit CO2 longer while offering more financial support to invest in clean technologies in Europe. The ETS is the European Union's biggest climate change policy. It forces power plants, airlines and shipping firms to buy permits when they emit CO2 and caps their overall emissions. The long-planned ETS overhaul aims to extend the system into future decades and align it with the EU's 2040 climate change to cut net emissions by 90%. It also softens the scheme in response to pressure from industries and countries including Italy and Poland, which say it undermines competitiveness. Brussels is attempting to balance those concerns with warnings, including from Spain, that weakening the ETS would punish industries that spent early on cutting emissions. The Commission's proposed cutting the annual rate at which the ETS emissions cap falls to around 3.7% from 2031 and 1.7% from 2036, from 4.3% currently, confirming plans previously reported. It would also set a new requirement for national governments to spend half of their ETS revenue on decarbonizing local industries. The ETS has generated $297 billion in revenue since 2013. Contracts to purchase previously owned U.S. homes fell more than expected in June as higher mortgages and house prices pushed prospective buyers to the sidelines. The pending home sales index tumbled 5.4% last month to 75.5, the National Association of Realtors said on Thursday. Economists polled had forecast contracts, which become sales after a month or two, falling 0.5%. Contracts fell in all 4 regions. They slipped 0.3% year-on-year in June. mortgage rates are likely to remain elevated amid renewed hostilities between the United States and Iran following the collapse of a fragile ceasefire last week. Samsung Electronics has cut jobs at its U.S. display, phone, and other consumer electronic operations, affecting workers mainly in New Jersey and Texas, according to documents and two people familiar with the matter. The South Korean tech giant said on Sunday in a statement that 739 roles in Eaglewood Cliffs, New Jersey, have been affected by plans by Samsung Electronics America, which is focused on consumer electronics and does not include chips, to move its headquarters to Texas. A majority of people affected have received relocation offers, but others were let go. It added without elaborating. Company's Plano, Texas office, some 100 workers, including staff in its mobile division, have been let go, according to one person who said they were among the employees laid off. Sources declined to be identified because of the sensitivity. The cut, though related to the shift in headquarters, underscores diverging fortunes within the South Korean tech giants, with its chip division skyrocketing to record profits but its consumer electronic unit languishing as chip costs surge. The Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council says it is sustaining efforts to eliminate bureaucratic bottlenecks and improve service delivery through closer collaboration with ministries, departments, and agencies as part of its mandate to create a more efficient and transparent public sector. The Council's efforts were recently highlighted by the successful intervention that led to the swift renewal of a Nigerian international passport who had experienced prolonged delays with the Nigerian Immigration Service. In a testimony shared online, the beneficiary said she received prompt attention after reaching out to PEBEC, resulting in the issuance of her passport. The Council maintained that its interventions are aimed at ensuring public services are more responsive to the needs of citizens and businesses. Analysts say such interventions reinforce public confidence in government institutions and demonstrate the value of stronger interagency collaboration. The testimony has also generated positive reactions, with many Nigerians describing it as evidence of improving public service delivery. Uncertainty is mounting in Nigeria's downstream petroleum sector as marketers grapple with rising depot prices and an ongoing suspension of premium motor spirit loading, raising fresh concerns over supply and retail pricing. The uncertainty has prompted some few marketers to suspend fresh purchases of petrol after ex-depot prices at private depots in Lagos climbed as high as 1,220 naira per litre. The Western Zonal Chairman of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Oyewole Akoni, disclosed the development on Sunday. He attributed the situation to the suspension of PMS loading at the Dangote refinery about 4 days ago, saying marketers are unsure whether prices will increase or decline once the refinery resumes operation. Akoni said the cheapest ex-depot price in Lagos currently ranges between 1,200 and 1,222 per litre, excluding transportation costs, while marketers who loaded product on Friday paid between 1,210 naira and 1,220 naira per litre. The federal government is introducing a guaranteed minimum price model for agricultural commodities in a move aimed at protecting 2 million smallholders farmers from price volatility while boosting food production and national food security. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Kakaaki, said the initiative, alongside the distribution of more than 10 million bags of fertilizer, is designed to stabilize farmers' incomes, encourage higher productivity, and ensure food remains available, accessible, and affordable for Nigerians.
For generations, smallholder farmers wade through struggles and difficulties to acquire fertilizers and improved seeds for cultivation and to increase their yields, carrying every risk alone. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Kakaaki, said change has come as government is set to implement the renewed Hope Smallholder Support and Value Chain Fund.
I want every farmer to leave this field understanding the whole journey, not just the ceremony. Across Nigeria, this intervention is reaching towards 2 million smallholder farmers more than 10 million bags of fertilizer to be deployed. A full third of those enrolled are women. In farming, timing is everything. Fertilizer in August is a different commodity from fertilizer in July. Seed after the rains have settled is seed wasted. From now on, there's an institution beside you when you plant and an institution beside you when you sell.
To ensure targeted results are achieved, the program will provide 2 million smallholder farmers across Nigeria with over 10 million bags of good quality fertilizers at the right time and in the right quantities to improve productivity.
Through this guaranteed minimum program, we are working to provide farmers with greater confidence by creating a structured pathway for aggregation and market access, ensuring that their produce can be sold through organized channels at a government-approved minimum price.
And this program is going to happen across the 36 states and the FCT. But we are calling on our farmers. Let us ensure that to whom much is given, much is also expected. The essence of this program is to ensure that every state we are able to provide food banks. Every state is able to produce the food that it eats and also be able to export.
For now, about 300,000 farmers have been onboarded into the program, and more than 1.1 million bags of fertilizers and over 16,470 metric tons of improved seeds have been deployed through 20 farmer aggregation outfits operating across more than 20 states of the Federation.
And that's Kakaaki Business. Good morning.
Break Online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Ray Power Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
All right, you're watching Kakaaki, the African Voice, this Monday morning. If you're just joining us, of course, that's the show that comes on at 6 a.m. every day and runs until 9 a.m. A good way to start your day. And we began, of course, earlier this morning, taking a look at what we have for you and, of course, running you through the world news and, of course, Kakaaki Business. And let me tell you now that we're continuing the program, and my tag team partner is joining me right now. Adora Sydney Jack is here, and she's very happy that Spain won the World Cup.
Mr. Kunle, you had to, right? I think that for me, Lamine Yamal, that's his first win, first World Cup. So I was rooting for him, looking at the fact that, this was a young lad who looked up to Lionel Messi, and here he is playing his role model in that time. And I feel that is something to look forward to when we begin to actually also root for young players. I think that this Spanish team had a much younger team compared to the Argentina team. However, someone said, I think in a report on Fox News, they said Spain outclasses Argentina and wins second male World Cup. I don't know about outclassing, but I think they had a good game.
I know about outclassing, but then let's leave the World Cup where it belongs, in the past. The World Cup is over. Let's bring you our social intervention segments. Now, 7 a.m. will be time for the newspaper review.
And welcome to Get Fit in 60 Seconds with Dolly Phillips. Now, everyone has 60 seconds in every day to spare. So if you're ready, let's go! Hello, welcome. Dolly Phillips here again for your 1-minute workout. And today we are pushing our limit. We're going to go 1 jack, 1 kick. Yes? 1 jack and 1 leg lift or a kick. That's what we're doing. Are you ready? Because your time starts now. Come on, let's go. 1 jack, 1 kick. Hey, 1 kick. Let's go. Ha, 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 ha. Get the rhythm. Have fun with it. Come on. Up, 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 up. That's it. Keep going. If you want to have fun with this one, turn around with it. Ha, ha. Ha! Ha! Come on! Ha! You'll make the time go faster. 25 seconds left! Where are you? Come on, stay with me. Come on. If this is too much, slow it down. Ha! But who wants to slow it down? Nobody. Come on. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and time. Woohoo! Well done. I hope you had a great workout. Anyway, what I need you to do is to follow us on Instagram at Alpha Fitness Studios and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Alpha Fitness Studios, for free workout videos, free dance videos, sales and promos, and make sure you join us at the gym, Alpha Fitness Studios in Lekki Phase 1 next time you're in Lagos. So until the next time, bye-bye.
Hello, great people of Nigeria. Welcome to the Leadership Clinic. Today, I will be speaking on leading in times of crisis, effective leadership in time of crisis. The truth of the matter is that every leader who has gained recognition in the world has gone through certain challenges that everybody thinks that this is exactly over. Crisis actually brings out the best in leaders, because these leaders, they have spent their lives developing themselves and stretching to be great leaders that are making a big difference. But do you know what? When crises show up, whether it's family crisis, whether it is organizational crisis, whether it is team crisis, or even personal health crisis, these leaders stay alive. They stay focused in actually finding their way through those crises, because at every point in time, courage within is built. Individuals get strengthened. The to-do spirit comes upon them in time of crisis. In time of crisis, people begin to think about the possibilities of staying alive, the possibilities of staying on the top of the chart, the possibilities of staying with your mental capacity still on, even though the crises are going on. And because these leaders always see that in crisis period is learning period for them, they seize every opportunity to learn a lot of things. Why are these crises coming on? what are the critical things we need to learn? And at the end of the day, when they stay the course, keep at it. And at the end of the day, you know what? They build resilience. At the end of the day, you know what? They build commitment. At the end of the day, guess what? They build courage. And the most important thing is that they build stamina. And people around them also begin to see that, hey, this guy or this woman is just different. And they will always offer a sense of respect. Anytime leaders come out of a major crisis and win, they actually build respect. They actually build a lot of other people begin to see them as role models. In this time of very challenging moment in Nigeria, I want to look at everyone looking at me today to say to you, you can pull through those crises and come out stronger. Let the spirit of mind leadership continue to help you to be the very best that you can. Our nation will pull through from where we are today to a nation that will be respected by the world. Great people of Nigeria, you must remember, if a man doesn't have a purpose, waking up, sleeping becomes interesting.
Have you ever wondered why your child should not start school too early? It worries me to hear that parents send their babies and toddlers to school as early as 9 months and they expect them to start reading and writing. I fear that with this trend, parents will start sending 1-month-old babies to school soon. But personally, I think a child should be at least 3 years old before being enrolled into a school. That way the child will be emotionally ready. It is totally unnecessary pressure to put on young children as a result of shoehorning them into schools at an age when they might not be ready. All children develop differently, and you should respect that fact. In the interest of children's academic achievements and their emotional well-being, children may need more time to develop before their formal education begins. But the question is, how then do I know that the time is right for my child to start school? Funny enough, children always give clues that they're ready to begin reading, and that's what they basically learn in school. You can watch out for what I call the pre-reading skills, and they are: 1. Noticing that your child is motivated or excited to read. 2. When your child is drawn to print and colors. 3. When your child recognizes or can identify a letter or two. 4. When your child can make coherent sounds that virtually everyone understands. So why rush your child into school at an early age? If your child is not emotionally ready, you would be putting your child under undue mental stress. Honestly, that's my 2 kobo.
The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy.
And our governments seem to be incapable of protecting.
The scheming.
This is not a period we should sit back and go.
Every part of this country is equal.
The intrigue.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe it was for that reason in our politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We
spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the president.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of our people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says,
but who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
Let us tell ourselves the truth. Why are we here talking about LGBT, GTBT, whatever?
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. In today's
Well, thank you for staying with us. It's now time for that bit in this morning's, of course, premiere broadcast that we bring you newspaper review. And we do have a lovely gentleman here in the studio, Dr. Lemi Ugebe, PhD. It's good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Since both of you are having that bluish tete-ate on the side. I think I touched it up too.
The only thing I'm missing is the cap.
Abby. Chris Wand is also joining us virtually all the way. And good morning, Chris. How are you this morning? All right, so we'll get to you later. But in the meantime, let's begin in earnest and go through our first rundown for our newspapers this morning. And we are seeing that the first paper for us this morning is This Nigeria. This Nigeria says troops rescue 46 students, foil ISWAP kidnap bid in Borno. Federal government arranged 3 over Orire abduction. And NDLEA arrests octogenarian grandpa, others in 3 states, interdiction operation. Intercepts Kano-bound tramadol shipments in Lagos.
Let's go now to the Authority newspaper, which leads with the story, students killed, 46 rescued as troops foil abduction at Borno school. That's the story. It runs from the front page and continues on page 2 of the paper.
All right, Nigerian pilot is looking at insecurity as well. Troops foil mass abduction, and that's coming to you on page 8. Some of the riders tell us that rescue 46 students of Federal Government Girls College, Mongono. ISWAP terrorists had attacked the school about 1:30 a.m. in planned mass abduction of students. And you also find some riders there telling you they reportedly gained access to the facility with assistance of suspected collaborators. Confronted by military superior power, they were forced to abandon their criminal mission. And of course, that picture story loud and clear says Spain crowned world champions on page 8.
Now let's go to Al Jazeera. That's Al Jazeera, Nigeria. Constitution review. Why we prioritized state police, senators. You'll find that story on page 4 of the paper.
The Daily Monitor is also monitoring that news as well, just mentioned by Kunle. Says Constitution review, why we prioritize state police. Senators say now that the issue is settled, debate on all the constitutional amendment proposals will follow. But above that masthead, you find NBA President-elect pledges improved welfare opportunities for lawyers.
All right, let's go now to the Daily Sun, also on that same story. Reasons we are prioritizing state police, senators dispel fears about it. And of course, that picture story, you can't miss it. Super champs, Super Spain, talking about Spain, beating Argentina to win the World Cup yesterday in the US.
And well, let's go to Nigerian News Direct. What we find there is interesting enough from the last paper. Badeja Okunsanya emerges as NBA president amidst election controversy. Pledges to protect independence of NBA, and that's coming to you on page 23.
Okay, moving away from that, we now go to look at the Observer's Times, which is telling us on its front page. No, that's the news direct that she just took, actually. The Observer's Times is the next one we're looking at. It tells us Oyin Consola Badejo Kusanya elected 33rd NBA president with over 12,000 votes. The writers say the NBA election was rigged. JS Okutepa SAN expresses deep dissatisfaction. Lateef Akungbe finishes second.
All right, now let's go to gwg.ng. Yes, that's it. Of course, we see the picture story loud and clear. Spain and Argentina's title defense win 2026 FIFA World Cup. But you also see that lead boldly, how Badejo Kusanya overcame cyber attacks, intrigues to emerge second female NBA president. And that's front page of the gwg.ng newspaper.
Okay, now let's go to the Daily Newscraft. And that same story is there. 35 years after, Badejo Kusanya emerges second NBA female president amid stiff opposition. And you have writers there, elections delayed by technical hitches, cyber attack. Our colleagues planned to truncate election but failed. Osigwe. You'll find that story flowing from the front page to page 2 of the paper.
Let's go to leadership. Leadership says women lawyers hail Badejo Kusanya's emergence as NBA's second female president. That's the lead. Of course, Spain will be really trending this morning. Spain beat Argentina to win second World Cup title on page 4 as well.
Spain has to trend because winning the World Cup is no mean feat. Happens once in 4 years. Let's go to the new National Star now. And the lead story there says 2027 elections. Voters register under scrutiny over deceased persons' names. And the writers to it say INEC says voters that died 15 years ago still in the register. Partners and IMC for cleaning of register, UK for security technology. Go to page 2 of the paper for details of that.
Now let's look at Daily Global this morning, Daily, and minimum wage review. We are battle ready for a major national struggle that's coming from NLC, and you see that with Joe Ejere by the side. You also want to see other stories front page of the Daily Global, including, of course, Spain beating Argentina.
Okay, let's look at the disclosure news. The lead story there says Ipman kicks as petrol importation soars. And the writers say warns importation could affect price stability. Again, marketers hike petrol pump price. You'll find details of that on page 2 of the paper. Also at the bottom of the page, just beneath the picture story, the one that Adora has gleefully celebrated this morning. I wonder if she's Spaniard. That headline says, minimum wage NLC draws battle with FG, charges workers, pensioners to prepare for total showdown with federal government. You'll find that story on page 2 of the disclosure. And of course, that's the last paper. No, not the last paper we have. We have other papers that we still have. The New Telegraph, looking at
federal government to raise another 729 billion naira bond to clear Genco's legacy debt. Says 501 billion naira in that rider bond issued in January 2026.
Let's now go to the Abuja Inquirer. The top story there says 221 kilometers later, how new roads are redrawing Abuja map. And of course, that picture story, you can't miss it. Spain celebrating their triumph at the World Cup.
All right, the Whistler is whistling this morning quite loudly. Nigeria received $37.8 billion foreign aid in 10 years as poverty bites harder. And that's on page 7. And Ryder does, of course, bring us some stories there. It's US, UK, Germany among biggest donors. Health, education, governance received largest shares of aid, and that's what the Whistler is bringing to us this morning as the lead. Of course, that story above the Whistler's masthead, Badejo Kusanya promises better welfare for lawyers after NBA victory. Akimbora alleges ballot manipulation, OTP failures on page 6.
Okay, let's go to the business diary now. What does the paper lead with? 3 years after reforms, inflation eases, but 35 million Nigerians go hungry amid rising food prices. That story flows from the front page to page 2 of the paper.
All right, now let's go to the Business NG this morning, and it talks about 8 years salary for 1 year's rent. Interesting line there. Housing pressure mounts as Lagos Port Harcourt rents outspace workers' income. Housing pressure mounts as Lagos Port Harcourt rents outpace workers' income. That's the lead story. APC LP clash over alleged underpayment of Abia civil servants on page 2.
Now to the Daily Independent. The lead story there says, Atiku ADC taunt federal government over World Bank Poverty Report 2026 budget. That story goes on from page 1 to the inside pages of the paper.
That's coming from the Daily Asset this morning. Now we see World Cup. Spain become first nation to simultaneously hold men's, women's FIFA crowns. World Cup. Spain become first nation to simultaneously hold men's, women's FIFA crowns. Now you understand why, basically.
Yes, I understand why. Don't forget, I am a football commentator first and foremost.
Absolutely, and the women too also on the Spaniard also looking.
Yeah, that tells you how good Spain has been at developmental football.
Absolutely.
And of course supporting all the structures that enable their sportsmen, not just football, their sportsmen to do well. Okay. But let's leave that and pick up the issues.
It's an issue too.
This
All
morning.
right, let's come to you, Mr. Lemmy. I mean, when we look at our lead stories this morning, there are quite a few of them. But let's begin with the troops rescue. 46 students for ASWAP kidnap bid in Brno. It was on this Nigeria, it was on Authority, it was also on Pilot.
Yeah, I must register my utmost gratitude to the Nigerian security forces, the military, the intelligence agencies. They've done an excellent job at these rescue operations. They are doing a great job. It's really tough, but what we hope that we can find in the nearest future is where we can have more of prevention than rescue. We must continually ask that government gives our military and the intelligence officers the needed wherewithal to do their job. Recently, there was an announcement that the minimum wage for soldiers had been doubled. That means they will be earning, the least person will be earning a little under 100,000, because they currently earn about 49,000 naira plus, and so it will be about 100,000 or a little under it, which is also not a living wage even for anybody. So soldiers, military people, intelligence officers who are sacrificing themselves, their lives, their family lives in order to keep us safe need to actually be well remunerated. I think that is still a far cry, but kudos to them for doing this much, and we must celebrate the DSS also for sharing credible intelligence. Being able to foil abduction operations shows that there's a lot being done behind the scene to gather intelligence to ensure that messages and plans are intercepted and nipped in the bud before they do happen. I understand that there are some persons suspected to be insiders, connivance in this operation. So we hope that they would investigate thoroughly and be able to bring everyone who is involved, who has by one way or the other connived with these murderous terrorists who are running amok in our country, that they'll be able to investigate them and bring them to book. But we are glad that this Monday morning, the first thing we are discussing is such a positive news. And we thank the military and all security agencies for helping to put some smile on our faces.
All right, let's go join Chris Kende-Nwandu, the CEO of CKN News. We don't even know where to put you now. You don't wear your Yoruba cap this morning again. Good morning, Chris. By the way, Chris was born and brought up in Lagos, so don't miss it. He's a Yoruba Igbo man. He has a Yoruba mother. He has an Igbo dad. He's brought up in Lagos. He speaks all the languages fluently. Good morning, Chris. Good to have you.
My people, good morning.
It's great to have you. All right, so let's start first on the lead stories this morning about, the troops foiling mass abduction, that on insecurity. Lemmy has said and applauded the military on that way forward. What's your take on that?
I totally agree with Dr. Lemmy. What he said, nothing to add again. We can only but commend our security agencies for the wonderful job they are doing. And this is what we have always been advocating of late, that they should take the fight to the terrorists wherever we can find them and make sure that we do the needful. And they've been doing that. The military, the army, the police, the DSS, and all other security agencies. And I believe that the collaborative efforts, joint efforts of the security agencies is what we are reaping now. Because just like in the past, I remember that one particular minister of defense was complaining that each of the security agencies were just doing their own thing. It was difficult getting them to collaborate together. But we've seen that under this current administration, there's that collaborative effort between the military and other security agencies, including the police, the DSS. So the story coming out this morning is very, very, very good. The report is that some terrorists tried to attack the federal government college in Mongonu, Borno State. And security men were able to quickly come in, and they were able to make sure that they repaired that attack, and they fled the scene. But there was some fatality. I think I had one or two students who died. May their souls rest in peace. We've seen this kind of rescue effort in the past few months. We remember what happened at Orire. Those Ogbomoso students were rescued, close to about 50 of them. The same thing also happened in Kakaaki State, where they tried to also abduct some students in one secondary school, but intelligent and quick intervention of the military, the army, saved that effort by the terrorists. But we still have to do more. And that is why I've come, just as I questioned last week, I asked what happened to the budget of the Safe School Initiative, where billions and billions of naira were budgeted or released during the last administration of Muhammad Buhari. Till now, we don't know what they did with that money. I know that there is an investigation by the National Assembly. I don't know whether they've concluded that, but we've not had anything. So we cannot just be budgeting money for such ventures, and at the end of it, people just pocket it, because none of the schools are secured. And it will be very difficult for us to be able to secure all the schools in Nigeria, knowing the number of security agencies. So if we have other initiatives that can be able to bring in people to be able to help in securing these schools, it'll be better for us. So once again, I ask the federal government, what happened to the billions and billions of naira that was budgeted for the Safe School Initiative by the last administration? Where is the money? What did they use them for? Because I look around, even in Lagos here, you can hardly find any of those security. Well, you just get, if you go to the secondary schools or primary schools in even around Lagos, you know, Kunle, you know what we call gate man or Malam. Those are the kind of people you see around, not even the civil defense, just ordinary people that are not well trained to secure schools. So we need to make sure that all schools in Nigeria are well secured now, so that we continue to, because it's so obvious that because of the fight, the military is taking the fight to the terrorists. They've gone back to their initial practice of picking up source spots, and the easiest one has always been the schools. So let's try as much as possible to make sure that all the schools are well secure, so that our children that we just send to school can go to school and come back safely. Once again, we give kudos to the security agencies this morning.
Chris, I'm going to stay with you now, and I'm staying with you because this is something that definitely interests you. The front page of the leadership newspaper I'm holding right now says, women lawyers hail Badejo Okusoya's emergence as NBA's second female president. And of course, that is something to talk about. So the whole thing about it is that when you look at the writers of some of the papers, they talk about some senior advocates of Nigeria, especially Mr. Kutepa, who said that the election had issues and all of that. What's the backstory here?
Well, in every election, could always be complained. Even in the United States, remember what happened during the last election before this, where the president of the United States was complaining and talking about how he was rigged out by Joe Biden and the rest of them. And but it's good news coming to the law profession to the NBA with the election of Mrs. Oshola Badejo Okusoya, senior advocate of Nigeria. We talk about glitches here and there. Yes, when it comes to technology, then there will always be glitches. Even at the 2023 general election, there are glitches, and at the end of it, a presidential candidate was elected, and they went on to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court affirmed that. So we only continue to make sure that those glitches are corrected. There have been so many insinuations, I don't want to go into that. People saying that there was attack and the rest of them. But Adora should be smiling. Adora should be the one smiling this morning more, if you ask me. Adora should be smiling this morning because Mrs. Badejo Okusoya is going to be the second president of NBA in about 30 years. But that is not even the cherry on the cake. All the top leaders within the legal profession now are all women. The Chief Justice of Nigeria is a woman. The President of Court of Appeal is a woman. The Director General of the Nigerian Law School is a woman, and also the President of NBA. So, Adora, I know you will smile this.
The Solicitor General of the Federation is also a woman, the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Justice.
They are not complaining again, no.
No. All right, Chris, thank you very much. Let's come to Lemmy in the studio here. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, we'll start by congratulating the president-elect, the second female president of the NBA, first elected female president, as it were, after Madam Barrister Priscilla Kuye, who came in as to finish the tenure of Chief Clement Akpambo, then who was appointed the Attorney General at that time. Yes, you cannot discountenance the complaints here and there from these particular elections, because before the elections, a lot of litigation, a lot of allegations of bias by the leadership of the NBA, that they were giving undue advantage to a candidate. There was issues even with the service providers that were supposed to conduct the electronic voting. And when the elections actually commenced, the fears expressed by people seem to have been justified, because the portal for voting collapsed. And this is against the backdrop that they had been complaining that they do not even know the pedigree of the service providers who were going to operate the electronic voting portal. Be that as it may, it's important for lessons to be learned. I feel that Mrs. Badejo Okusoya has somehow been shortchanged, because if you listen to her, she was very graceful in her comments upon being declared winner. She said that she would work with her opponents. She also lamented that all of these complaints and all that, giving the impression that she couldn't win without rigging, was a matter of concern that actually it felt bad for her. And she went ahead to say that she would submit herself and the process that brought her in for scrutiny, which shows a woman who is actually quite confident of herself. I feel that the dots should have been, the I's should have been dotted and the T's should have been crossed. All the complaints that were said here and there should have been properly addressed. If they needed to have delayed the elections for a week or more, it would have been important if they are delayed for a week in order to address the issue. Remember that the voting, out of about 80,000 people who should have been part of voting, we had barely about 26,000 voting. So a little over 30% of the voting population voted, which underscores the fact that there were issues of confidence on the part of lawyers before this election. So tarrying a little while in order to make sure that you boosted public confidence or confidence of the barmen, of the lawyers, would have been important. However, she has been declared winner. She has won the election. She has given the sound bites on what she will do, including a very conciliatory speech. So I expect that we should not throw away the baby and the bathwater. It's time that they mended fences. It's time, too, that NBA learns very crucial lessons from this, because it's really a shame that an association like the NBA, a strong association, respected globally, should even have found himself conducting an election that would throw up a lot of controversies in terms of electoral confidence and all that. But there are lessons to be learned. However, we hope and wish that the tenure of the incoming president will actually be fruitful, and we hope that women would have a good share of the bargain in this now.
All right. Let me, incidentally, I had a lawyer, I think one of the contestants, send me a whole lot of complaints about the election yesterday. I don't even know him, how he got my number.
It should be
I do not know.
Latif Omoyemi Akongbe. He said clearly that he would not accept the results.
This is not Latif. Okay. This is a Chidi.
Okay, not a contestant.
This is somebody supporting Chidi for Secretary General. I don't know who the person is. But I don't even know who the Chidi is, but it tells you that...
yes, there's a lot of... And lawyers usually participate in the elections. So to have about 30-something% of the total population participate speaks to how much work the incoming president has to do in order to reconcile all parties.
Okay. Did you have to call it final?
Well, it's not the World Cup.
Because it's the World Cup.
So it becomes first nation to simultaneously hold men's, women's FIFA crowns. I will start with you, Chris.
Yes, the best team won the competition. What we had yesterday was what I would call negative football on the part of Argentina, because the way they were playing, they didn't play like people that came to win fairly. They played poorly. In fact, I enjoyed the losers final, the third place match, more than the final. Spain was all out to dominate the match, and when you look at the statistic at a point, Spain had 16 shots at goal, and Argentina had nothing. At the end of the day, I think it was about 20 shots at goal for Spain and 2 for Argentina. So, well deserved. They played well. Even after the match, some of the Argentine players were behaving in a very terrible manner that one of them had to be given another red card. The officiating also all through this tournament. My personal opinion is that try to favor Argentina. We remember what happened between Argentina and Egypt, and some of them matches that are played with Argentina. But that does not remove anything from the World Cup. It was a very well organized tournament. We had so many controversies. Remember the controversy that came up after one of the United States player was suspended. So we had the president of US have to call the president of FIFA to rescind that decision. But at the end of it all, I think most of us were Spaniards yesterday and we supported Spain. Congratulations to Spain. And good enough, the next World Cup is going to take place in Spain, Morocco, and I think Portugal. It was a wonderful match yesterday. If Argentina had won yesterday, if I've been happy, but we're happy with what happened, and congratulations to Spain. And just as Adora said, for the first time you see a country with both the male and female World Cup. But that is why most people look at the English league as the most beautiful or the best league. But some of us believe that is Spanish La Liga is always the best when it comes in terms of play and the nature of teams. The La Liga has always remained the best league in the world. But you know the way the English package that is, they make it look that is the most beautiful. But congratulations to Spain, and I know that Dr. Lemi also, and Kunle, all of you supported Spain yesterday. One and online now.
Lemi, Spain are now European champions and world champions. The male team and the women's team are also the world champions, and that's new. That's something fresh.
Yes.
But did anything take away from the enjoyment of the World Cup for you?
Well, I think we had some very bad officiating. A lot of times there were matches that seemed to have been predetermined by FIFA and the officials. The matches are enormous. Even yesterday we saw football is contact sport. We saw that the slightest attempt at taking the balls from Messi got a free kick.
It became a foul.
Yeah, it became a foul, got a free kick, which was almost going to get them to equalize. But my real high point is the coach of Spain. There is a lesson to learn in that place. He is a big-time father figure, a manager who is not just doing football, he's managing the emotions of his players. So the players love him, they see him like a father, they play for him. I remember his trajectory. He had done the under-17, won it. Under-17 won it. He had won 8 great games until even the Olympics, which he also was manager and lost at the finals and won the silver medal. Then he got to this point where he's such an exciting coach. You see him well measured, very fine gentleman. Even with winning, he was still very measured. Those kind of behavior, I think we must study the Spaniards.
He's also the oldest coach.
Yes, we must study the Spaniard because he reminds me a lot of Pep Guardiola, who is younger. Pep would beat you 10-0 and still come celebrate you. Absolutely. That is the kind of, so I think there's a lot that is happening in Spain, and it will take a lot to be able, because young players in their early 20s, and they are now going to host the next World Cup. I hope they are not going to
Excuse me, sir, Lamine Yamal is still 18.
19, actually. He's 19.
Is he 19 now?
Yes, he's 19. So he has so much time, and by the next World Cup, imagine how mature he would have become. Some of the holding on to the balls, he would do away with it. And he's got a lot of things to learn, and I think he's learned much, knowing that Lionel Messi, who we must celebrate, despite the fact he did not win the title, the trophy, is giving the best to football and arguably the greatest of all time, even as I am a big fan of Cristiano Ronaldo. Both of them, this is the end of an era for them. We must celebrate them for adding value to football.
I think Yamal is a new kid on the block right now.
Yeah, he's handed, Messi has handed it to her.
Okay, I know. I mean, he had cautious enthusiasm even when they won. I saw that, I think maybe because of Lionel. But anyways, Chris, thank you for that. And of course, you said the best team won the game. So I'll let you go off on that note. Happy and glad. Do have yourself a wonderful week.
And enjoy your day, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Spain won, Everybody rejoiced yesterday, except for the glum-faced Argentines, especially following the red card given to Enzo Fernandez.
Actually, it was justice for football because Spain came out to play football. The Argentines largely came out to play rugby and defensive rugby. So it would have been injustice to sports, to football, if Argentina had won.
But that's how Argentina have always played. Go far back, as far as 1970 World Cup.
Yes, but
watch them. That's how they play.
Watch their mentality this time.
They come to wrestle.
Watch their mentality this time. Somehow they just knew that the Spaniards had superior firepower. So they were not even ready at all to leave their half of the field. They were just defensive. There, they will bully you. In the past, they will bully you with a lot of physicality.
Let me tell you what my son said about the game. He said, the Spaniards pinned them down completely. That was what my son said.
They overwhelmed them.
And that tells you, when you look at 20 shots at goal, 10 on target for Spain, and only two shots at goal.
Do you know when the 2 shots came?
For the Argentines.
Do you know when the 2
shots came? In the last 10 minutes of the extra time.
It came because as soon as they scored their own goal, the Spaniards, they went back to defending and opened the space up, and it would have cost them. That was a very nice
It nearly cost them, you know. All right, we got to go now. Thank you very much for coming on this morning, and of course, we have to give you a few minutes extra to talk about Spain and Argentina in the final of the World Cup. Not just for Adora's sake, because for all our sakes. One of our co-reviewers on our YouTube channel has been haranguing us that, look, Kakaaki Sports has to come back. So we needed to talk about that, at least to give him something to enjoy, to savor this morning. Thank you very much, Dr. Lemi Ugewi, for coming on the show this morning. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of the week.
You too.
All right, so we definitely will be going to our first talking point this morning, but we will come back to you shortly after the break. Stay with us.
Is everywhere, but insight is rare.
Because of the high rate of fuel, the cost of commodities, cost of everything in this country is high.
This is unacceptable because Nigerians cannot be made to suffer every time.
So, where do you turn for clarity? The right questions.
What is the need for Nigerians? Let's really break it down. Income strata-wise, revenue strata-wise for companies.
What are some of the inhibitions that are not making trade work for all?
The real answers.
Stimulus package must take a different shape beyond what we have seen in sharing of rice, sharing of money.
Nancy brings it to you on Moneyline with Nancy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Moneyline with Nancy.
Clear, well-researched conversations focused on what truly impacts you.
Is it that we don't know the number of MSMEs we have in the country, or we don't know where they are?
I don't think we can identify 40-something million MSMEs as a people and as a country.
Nigeria has the policy framework in place to be a leader on this approach. You can make farmers bankable.
Moneyline with Nancy now airs 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Weekdays, live on AIT and online. If it matters to the economy, join us.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Raypower Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
People.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Kakaaki, the African Voice, this Monday morning. Time now for us to go into our very first conversation on the program following the newspaper review. And we will be taking a look at the ECOWAS Media Summit, where the president of Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, has now emerged as the new chairman of ECOWAS, taking over from the president of Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio, who stepped down after his term ended. And of course, a number of issues were discussed there. These are the issues we are picking up this morning with Paul Ejime, who is a global affairs analyst. Paul is also a journalist. He was embedded with the ECOWAS monitoring group, that's ECOMOG, during the wars in Liberia and Sierra Leone. He's joining us virtually this morning. Good morning, Paul. Good to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kunle, and thank you, Adora, and your viewers.
Thank you so much. Now, what for you were the major highlights of the ECOWAS Media Summit for this year?
Adora, it was an anticlimax, if you ask me. Having followed the ECOWAS history from the beginning and until today, it's an anticlimax. Well, what were the major highlights? Like Kunle said, the Senegalese president, Diomaye Faye, was elected chairman. And then the president of the ECOWAS Commission, General Diop, retired. He's from Senegal. He's also elected president of the ECOWAS Commission. And then on top of that, Senegal has also been asked to be the chief mediator in the crisis in Guinea-Bissau. Okay, these are the issues. And because whatever you do after in an organization, a lot will depend on the leadership. So here we are, Senegal being handed this, knowing that Diomaye Faye has a crisis at home. He has split with the colleague with whom they formed a government 2 years ago, Sonko, the prime minister that he sacked, and he's battling now to because he wants to run in 2029. And so what will this young man do with all this, if he cannot handle the situation at home? How is he going to deal with the problem in the, the region where that the membership is even dwindling by the day? So it's an anticlimax. Other things, yes, were discussed. Economy as usual, security, and then even xenophobia or Afrophobia. ECOWAS has decided to make it an agenda item before the AU. And they wonder what AU will do if after all these months that has been going on, nothing has happened. Even Ghana has petitioned the AU, and they have not done anything. Where South African blacks are going against Africans who are there, that from countries that actually helped to liberate South Africa from apartheid. So these are some of the decisions, but you will look at the key ones, this leadership issue. It is not what should inspire hope. In fact, by me and every other person following ECOWAS. And the thing, if they were to come out, remember 4 countries from these organizations that used to be 15 are now governed by the military, okay? And so that has reduced. And if you also look at the attendance, if anything, I think the attendance says a lot. President Tinubu was not there. This is not to reduce the importance of those who attended or any disrespect. Nigeria was represented vice president. Cote d'Ivoire was represented by the vice president or whatever. It's only Ghana where Mahama went. But the others, they all have baggages. This 4 years in May, he is the one that has continued to violate ECOWAS protocols Or is it, you know, the man from Benin just won an election, Wadai? Who else? So it is really pathetic. Well, okay, Liberia was also there. Old man Joe, you know, Joe from Liberia. And then, of course, the man who is leaving office, who made the capital of this summit as if he was going to be, in fact, he was trying to make it look as if ECOWAS has been reborn, Madabio. But these people have not, Madabio, Joe Mafai, and who else, they have not covered themselves in glory in the way they've been dealing with the situation in Guinea-Bissau, where a man, you know, carried out a self-coup, and they are now trying to get him back to come and rule the country again. And ECOWAS is not doing anything. ECOWAS is not saying, it's not strong, standing strong on that. What can you tell others who will do the same thing? When they see that the election is not favoring them, they approach the army to take over.
Paul, I must jump in here because listening to you, it's obvious that with your knowledge, your institutional knowledge of ECOWAS, you do not sound too enthusiastic about the way the sub-regional body is going about its affairs these days. And I'd like to ask you, how much of an impact did the withdrawal of those three Sahelian states, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, impact upon this summit that has just ended? Because, like you said, a number of presidents sent their deputies. President Tinubu sent his vice president, Kashim Shettima, and it was only Ghana's president, according to you, President Mahama, and of course Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone, and Bassirou Faye, who were there. So how much of an impact has this had on ECOWAS operations?
The withdrawal is a very heavy dent on the ECOWAS integration. Let's not play about it. And by the way, these countries, if you look at their geographical, what they constitute, even if you are not looking at what they are bringing, the GDP they are contributing to the region, is huge. But my concern, Kunle, is that instead of now, when you have a problem, when you are in a hole, you stop digging. That's the, the conventional wisdom. But what is happening is that the ECOWAS leaders, because you have to put the blame where it belongs, political leaders do not seem to care. All they are interested in is regime, protection and consolidation. They are not listening to the people. I think they are very much, alienated from the ordinary citizens. More than 400 million people in this region that we're talking about. And Kunle, ECOWAS used to be the only one, the trailblazer among the 8 regional economic communities that we have in Africa, because it showed leadership in conflict management, conflict, control or prevention. You can talk about Liberia, talk about Sierra Leone, talk about even Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, where you have had problems, and coups in the past. The ECOWAS I used to know was very proactive. They were very hands-on in handling these issues. But in the last 10 years or so, they have dropped the ball. They are no longer listening to their people. What is happening? They are even not obeying their own, complying with their own rules. ECOWAS rule says that you do not change your constitution 6 months before a major election. Guinea-Bissau did it. Nothing happened. 4 of Yassimo of Togo did it. Nothing happened. Because not only when the military takes over, a supplementary protocol of 2001 on democracy and good governance says that unconstitutional change of government is an aberration. They even go as far as saying it is what is it called? No-go area. But the political leadership, they have done that. Elections are rigged. They are changing the constitution anyhow, and then violating the rights of their citizens. It's only when the military now strikes that they come after them. Condemnation. But what are the political leaders doing? Because the coups are just symptoms of the bad leadership or lack of leadership that has helped. So you ask me, what impact does it have? It has impact the fact that you were 15. Now you are how many? Is it 11? And if care is not taken, perhaps more will be drifting apart. It doesn't show an organization that is willing, that is learning from its mistakes, or that is willing to even make any, and I put this partly on the doors of Nigeria. Nigeria has not shown leadership at ECOWAS. I don't know, maybe because of the local domestic issue, because one would expect that if in any organization, Kunle, you always have a hegemon, somebody that is now bringing everybody together. Nigeria used to be called the big brother.
Yes, Paul.
Brother,
let me come in there, because you said you put the blame squarely at the doorstep of Nigeria, and I may not ask you why, because when you look back, Nigeria was at the head of ECOMOG, which you were embedded in. As recently as 2009, Nigeria took the bulls by the horn to prevent a breakdown of law and order in Guinea-Bissau when the late President Umar Musa Yar'Adua sent his Foreign Affairs Minister, Ojo Madueke, to ensure that peace returned to Guinea-Bissau. What you are saying is that Nigeria has shown leadership at all times. But I'd like to remind you also that at the times that Nigeria showed this kind of leadership that everybody is commending, Nigeria was chair of ECOWAS. Now, Nigeria has ceased to be chair of ECOWAS. Should Nigeria still be expected to show this kind of leadership when Sierra Leone, Madabiu's tenure, the President Madabiu of Sierra Leone's tenure just ended, and Faye is taking over?
Okay, look at the reason. If you cannot have ECOWAS without Nigeria, Kunle, why? Based on population, put Nigeria's population against, against the other 10, or even in the olden days, against the other 40. Two, how did ECOWAS come about? Nigeria was the one that midwifed it. Don't forget the Professor Adebayo Adedeji, the role Gawan. He's the only surviving founding father of ECOWAS. He gave Professor Adedeji the marching orders. Professor Adedeji used to be commissioner then, now minister, there's the name, they changed it at the federal level, of economic planning and reconstruction after the Civil War.
Yes.
From 1971. So he asked him, because of the experience that Nigeria had during that war, the one decided to now go, they say if you cannot manage the community, you can manage your home. So decided to go around the region to make sure that, there was a kind of, he can have influence. That's what it is, because of his position, because of the role it has been playing. Nigeria played a role in getting independence for many Southern African nations. Nigeria, was the big brother. Nigeria's political, foreign policy was based on what you call Afrocentric. Africa was the centerpiece of Nigerian foreign policy. So you can't remove it from the role that destiny has placed on Nigeria to play, which is leadership, both at home, but leadership should start at home, at the region, concentric, and then continental, before you go now to the global level. That was the Nigeria. You were talking about Nigeria being chairman. Nigeria does not need to be chairman to influence what is happening. Nigeria pays more than 60% of the ECOWAS budget, national budget contribution. They call it community levy. And when you put that kind of money, you need to ask, how is the money being spent? You know, Nigeria is not asking those critical questions. How is the place being run? I can tell you I've worked for ECOWAS and I know that these other countries know, their leaders know more about what is happening in Nigeria than some of our leaders.
Absolutely.
And that is not right.
All right, Paul, let me just come in here for want of time, because we just have a barely few minutes to go. From some of the comments coming to us from our social media, somebody says here, and it's Oluwaseun Ogunride, he says, ECOWAS is in disarray as a result of Nigeria's failure to remain a force in Africa's politics and funding command. He says the old war horse has gone to sleep and is immersed in corruption. He also says the resurrection of Nigeria is the resurrection of ECOWAS. And I'm reeling this out because of my next question. Of course, we talked about the West African bloc filling the absence of the breakaway countries of Niger, the Burkina Faso and Mali. Now, is there any chance with this new leadership? I hear what you say, I hear where Nigeria stands in leadership, but do you feel there's a sense or a chance at all of bringing back this trial, or does ECOWAS risk losing more countries? Because of you've narrated some of the issues and challenges. Is it going to get better, or is it going to get worse?
Well, they say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I don't. But if you ask me, I have given you the background of the leadership now. I can tell you, I'm not a magician, I'm not a prophet, but it doesn't look bright at all with what is the person they have handed the mantle of leadership to, because he has not covered himself. I keep saying it. This is the same, this Jumai Fai, I don't want to dabble into their domestic issues, has broken away, you know, the split with Sonko. And do you know where I lost him? Or we thought that as young people that they were going to bring, there was hope in Senegal. And the way they also relieved Macky Sall. But do you know, this man has gone back to Macky Sall that jailed them. He's now working with him. And then he has also, he's aligning with Mbalo, Sissoko, who organized a self-coup in Guinea-Bissau. So from his body, from what he has shown, it's not likely going to bring any kind of leadership that will move ECOWAS forward. I hope to be disappointed. So that is one. One is that we talk about Nigeria's leadership, we can never run away from it. President Tinubu was chairman of ECOWAS just because before Madapio. So Nigeria has to step up to the table and do what it has to do. Otherwise, one cannot see any redemption. ECOWAS needs to be rescued from itself.
All right, thank you very much, Paul Ejime, for speaking to us this morning. Paul Ejime, journalist and global affairs analyst, joining us from London this morning to take a look at the ECOWAS Media Summit that only just ended in Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone. Paul, thank you very much. Have a great day out there in London.
Thank you for having me.
Have a lovely day too.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, it will be Kakaaki Social O'Clock. Stay with us. Don't you move an inch.
In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented
presented by the president.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of our people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says,
but who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
Let us tell ourselves the truth. Why are we here talking about LGBT, GTBT, whatever?
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. In today's global economy, information is everywhere, but insight is rare.
Because of the high rate of fuel, the cost of commodities, cost of everything in this country is high.
This is unacceptable because Nigerians cannot be made to suffer every time.
So, where do you turn for clarity? The right questions.
What is in it for Nigerians? Let's really break it down. Income strata-wise, revenue strata-wise for companies.
What are some of the inhibitions that are not making trade work for all?
The real answers.
Stimulus package must take a different shape beyond what we have seen in sharing of rice, sharing of money.
Nancy brings it to you on Moneyline with Nancy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Moneyline with Nancy.
Clear, well-researched conversations focused on what truly impacts you.
Is it that we don't know the number of MSMEs we have in the country, or we don't know where they are?
I don't think we can identify 40-something million MSMEs as a people and as a country.
Nigeria has the policy framework in place to be a leader on this approach. You can make farmers bankable.
Moneyline with Nancy. Now.
Hello everyone, good morning to you. This is Kakaaki Social. I am Onoshorena Obozege. What's on the space of social media as trends this morning? We'll start from outside Nigeria, where Burkina Faso's military leader, Captain Ibrahim Traore, has disclosed that his government is reviewing its overseas scholarship program after discovering that nearly 1,000 Burkina Faso students in Saudi Arabia are studying Sharia and Islamic law. He questioned why none of the students were enrolled in vocational, technical, or professional courses that could directly contribute to Burkina Faso's development. He adds that there is no place to practice Sharia law in Burkina Faso, which further makes it unnecessary to study it as a Burkinabe living in Burkina Faso.
On a recensé les dernières statistiques, j'étais 800 et quelques. J'ai regardé la fiche. Personne n'est au courant de leur sortie. Personne n'est au courant de ce qu'ils font. Les ambassades qui sont là-bas ne sont pas au courant d'eux. Et vous savez ce qu'ils apprennent? La charia, les lois islamiques et la jurisprudence islamique. Personne de ces 800 et quelques qu'on m'a montré la liste la dernière fois n'apprend un seul métier. Personne. C'est pour venir appliquer la charia ici. Ils reçoivent les financements, ils font ce qu'ils ont à faire, on fait sortir les enfants, ils partent apprendre la charia et ce qu'ils doivent payer. Jamais, moi je ne peux pas permettre ça.
All right, let me bring you in and see how you react to this. For Khalid 20, he says he is a great African leader whom I respect. Perhaps he is referring to the terrorists in the Sahel who are killing soldiers and innocent civilians. These terrorists must be eliminated because they are not Muslims and they are tarnishing the image of Islam. More thought to this one. Mushin Onyedikachuku says some people just like convulsing once Islam is involved. So it is 800 of them that will make Burkina Faso, that will make the country an industrial hub. What stops him from sponsoring another 2,000 or even 1 million citizens who I am sure are available to go and study science and tech? Now on Facebook, Richard Igwe says Saudi will sponsor Africans to study Islamic laws in Saudi Arabia, but will send her citizens to U.S. to study science and engineering. We're remaining on Facebook for more reactions to this. Tom Lasky says he's a Muslim himself, but he knows what happens when you put religion over law. You start taking people's freedoms to think and believe in whatever they want. Those are your comments coming in reaction to that post. We're still staying with the same story. But this one is from Nigeria, where the Bauchi State Governor, Bala Mohammed, has called for the integration of Arabic education into Nigeria's education system to ensure graduates of Arabic-speaking universities receive equal recognition and opportunities. The governor made the call while receiving leaders of Nigerian students studying in Saudi Arabian universities during a courtesy visit at the government house in Bauchi. He also reaffirmed his administration's commitment to reviving the abandoned Arabic College, to expand access to quality Arabic education, and to preserve the religion's long-standing educational heritage.
The government should do something to bring the teaching of Arabic, especially in northern part of the country where we have majority of Muslims, compulsory, so that at least it will bring out the best out of us in terms of Islamic practice, and then to get undiluted knowledge of the Hadith and the Quran. I'm not going to do something to make sure we mainstream you within our curricula. We mainstream you within our own public service structure so that you will be employed when you come. Your employability must be such that when your certificate is brought here, we will see it, and then, of course, it is something you take it to Minister of Education, Federal Minister of Education.
All right, let me bring you in. Hamlet says in reaction to this is really funny. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed is agitating for the Arabic education to be integrated in the Nigeria's education system. Meanwhile, in Burkina Faso, President Ibrahim Traore is banning the study of Sharia law in his country. He is even against those that are going to Saudi Arabia to study Sharia law when the world is advancing in science and technology. Meanwhile, Bala wants the country to integrate a culture from the Middle East into our education system. How many Nigerian cultures and languages have been integrated in the education system of Saudi Arabia? Coming from Hamlet. Jacuzzi says, why is learning Arabic bad? What's wrong with you? You all were forced to learn English. The Nigerian educational system has French lessons, which I took since primary until university, but Muslims wanted to learn Arabic. Is wrong? I pray it works. We must learn Arabic. Jacuzzi is insisting. And for Princess God is Real, it says, why don't you tell Saudi Arabia to add Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa language to their curriculum? She's asking a question. All right. Away from that, more holes are being picked in the 2026 Appropriation Act. So fresh scrutiny is trailing the federal government budget following the discovery that 8.05 billion naira has been allocated for the construction and renovation of places of worship. This is despite a projected fiscal deficit of 31.45 trillion naira. That's about 46% of the proposed budget. Budget details, they are showing that 1.91 billion naira is earmarked for 7 churches across the nation, while 6.14 billion naira is allocated to 52 mosques across the country. The disclosures have triggered renewed debate over government spending priorities. How are you reacting to this that is top on the trend table right now on X? Tracker had put this out while all of this conversation is ongoing. Tracker is spelled Tracka. It says the 2026 budget allocate 8.05 billion naira to churches and mosques. Do you agree with these priorities, putting out some of the agency, ministry, and the title of the project that these monies will be allocated to and used for? More slides to this one. There are more tables that they also added to this as well. Right, so project titles, some of them will show you status ongoing, amounts 280 million naira for renovation of mosque and provision of mini-grids in Zamfara Central Senatorial District. For example, 280 million naira will be used for that. And then some churches across the state, all of these, as you can see, in Sokoto State, Sokoto State, Gombe, Kebbi, Zamfara, all of them ongoing, and we have some churches too. And the causes, they say, to bandits and demolitions, lack of standard and all of that. Let me now see how you're reacting to this one. It's all about life says, my problem is not that the budget to repair churches and mosques. The money will not be used for the said purpose. I'm so sure. Why don't they just leave the purpose blank? All the funds budgeted and released from the previous past budget, where did they go? It's all about life, he's asking. This user says, faith is deeply personal, and I respect everyone's beliefs. However, faith alone cannot solve the challenges facing this country. We also need sound leadership, practical policies, and real action. Focusing on the wrong priorities risk doing more harm than good. That's how he says. Viju says, in a country where many public schools lack classrooms and hospitals lack basic equipment, this is bound to raise questions about priorities, which is why the conversation is holding. But we take Buru Kini Rogers, who says, 8 billion naira represent 0.0117% of the Nigerian 2026 budget. The federal government owns and manages some mosques and churches directly and others through MDAs. Most popular are National Mosque, National Christian Center, Aso Rock Presidential Villa Mosque, Aso Rock Presidential Villa Chapel, National Assembly Mosque, National Assembly Christian Chapel. For a country as religious as Nigeria, I wouldn't complain too much about 0.0117% of our budget going into construction and renovation of religious buildings across the country. I don't think it would matter much if the other 99.98% is well spent. How to spend it is the concern for that user. Now, still in Oyo State, a teacher rescued after the abduction of pupils and staff in Oyo State says they had already been released by their captors before security personnel met them and escorted them to safety. The teacher's school counselor recounted that the victims were freed and had already left the terrorist camp, trekked for hours through the forest before reaching a point where soldiers received them. Another teacher is also saying and revealing that the abductors treated some of their wounds and even washed their clothes, explaining why they did not appear to us dirty and smelly.
So we trekked from that place, like, let me say, like 40 to 1 hour to where they provided motorcycle, bike Okada that took us from that bush to near to the nearest village.
Okay, so when
it was for like, let me say, 1 hour 30 minutes to that village, they now stopped. They said they can't go further again. So that was where they stopped and they told us to move with our legs. So we moved for 1 hour 30 minutes with our leg, both the principal, the VP, the staff, the students, and the pupils. So we trekked for 1 hour 30 minutes before we get to where those things are going to rescue. Government sent to come and rescue us with.
All right, let's see how you're reacting to this. Comrade Ayumzi says the terrorists would just release them. Something probably softened the situation. If you think hardened criminals that even beheaded 2 people among them would just release them, you had believed one day the sky is falling. Laughing out loud, the rescue teacher is probably still disoriented from the ordeal. In other reactions, Gerard says, kind-hearted kidnappers reacting to them washing the clothes that the victims wore. Oladimeji says, so you were not aware that the security forces arrested their family members, including their wives, children, parents, etc. Abi? All you people want is bad news always. You can dislike a government, but don't hate your country or your people. For Ayomipo, it says, what led to the release? Did they just release them? I don't know why media just wants to twist the narrative, either release or rescue. The most important thing is that they are back home now. Absolutely. For Dr. Kemi Olu-Lawyer, the veteran journalist, she says, when I told Nigerians this, I was told to take my medications as if I was some mental patient. You are not ready for the conversation. Makinde must not relent on that United Nations investigations, Dr. Kemi Olu-Lawyer says. Now, away from that and some big win, over 1.6 million pills of tramadol, 250 milligrams concealed in specially fabricated compartments beneath the cargo floors of 2 long-haul trailers heading to Kano were recovered by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, over the weekend. That was a transnational drug trafficking syndicate operating through the Togo-Benin Republic-Nigeria corridor. According to the NDLEA spokesperson, Femi Babafemi, the operation followed the interception of 558,900 pills of tramadol, 250 milligram concealed in the first bottom compartment of another trailer that entered Lagos through the same Togo-Benin Republic route barely a week ago. Investigations revealed that all 3 trailers and their consignment belong to the same cross-border drug trafficking syndicate. And then they were acting on intelligence, and NDLEA says that they tracked the first of the 2 trailers to the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway on the 2nd of July 2026, where they recovered 853,000 pills of tramadol, 250 milligrams hidden inside a specially fabricated compartment beneath the cargo floor. This you are seeing right now. And what they discovered, that the driver was a 22-year-old, that's Jabir Kabiru. He was arrested at the scene. 2 days later, on July 4th, 2026, NDLEA officials again tracked and intercepted a second trailer along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway while it was also heading to Kano. A further 777,000 pills of tramadol, 250 milligrams, concealed beneath the cargo floor were recovered, while again another 22-year-old driver, Mohammed Nuhu, was arrested. According to the agency, NDLEA, investigations established that the trailers intercepted on 21st of June, 2nd of July, and 4th of July were all operated by the same transnational drug trafficking syndicate using modified truck with hidden compartment to move large consignment of tramadol across multiple international borders into Nigeria. And those are the films and visuals you've been seeing right there. I will take reactions from AIT Online on Facebook. Comrade Andrew had said, Intel, I mean to say, the other parties don't cast the deal. Them they search for road like this. Yes, they agree that it's based on intelligence. For Uyim Akpan, he says, where they produce this thing, why would I not go there and arrest people where they produce it? Still on AIT Facebook page, more thought from Samson Dakuro says, it's like, now the only agency where they work be this, but make this same drug no enter market back, please. Burn it. More reactions to this coming from Ibrahim Bashir. He said it is high time for the government to amend drug abuse laws and introduce the death penalty when the quantity of drugs confiscated reaches a certain threshold. Weak laws are what allow drug traffickers to continue destroying the lives of our young people. This is very sad. All comment from AIT Facebook page. All right. Let's go to my beloved Edo State, where my people have been interesting. turning a flyover to a tourist destination. Since the completion of Benin City's first flyover bridge by Governor Monday Okpebholo, the landmark infrastructure has become more than a solution to traffic congestion. Over the past few weeks, hundreds of residents have been visiting the overhead bridge that is yet to be commissioned for sightseeing, digital content creation, and other social activities. And guess what we know? That across the world, flyover bridges are common road infrastructures designed to ease traffic congestion and improve safety. In Benin City, Edo State, the completion of its first ever flyover is redefining this knowledge that we have. Now let's have some of those who have made Dubai of the flyover.
I've not seen a flyover before. This is the first flyover I've seen.
I came to observe the flyover, to look at the flyover, what Governor Okpebholo have done.
Thank you for everything you have done for Edo State. We have seen your work. You are doing well. We really appreciate you.
So we came to walk around and we feel so happy seeing this in the first time in Benin.
People are excited. They felt this is a new development.
People who still think that it's not real, they're actually coming down. That's why you are seeing this influx. Oh, it's not AI, it is real.
Right, let me take you to Facebook on AIT's Facebook page. Your comment right there. Apostle Joseph Irevier says, the way some Edo people feel amazed the first time of seeing flyover 2026 makes me remember the first time I make use of water system restroom back then in 1990s. Nice one. I just felt like sleeping in that restroom at that time because it looked amazing to me at that time. More reactions. Ubo Celestine Obin says, they said some Edo people, they fly, but they don't know flyover. Don't leave me. Please come to Ebonyi State. It passed 15 for there. Still on the AIT Facebook page, Adeyinka Adeogun says, and to think that this was the same place whose empire marveled the Europeans on their first arrival. Samsung Samuel says, Edo do finally carry last. It's not what you think. It's not what you think. For Michael Tom, he says, on behalf of me and the good people of Akwa Ibom State, I hereby donate 2 flyover from Uyo City to Edo people. I want them to be more happy. Chai. Eyubio says that means if they come to Uyo, they will sleep on flyover. Jesus. More thoughts to this one. Ben Anyankora says this is why he promised to get 2 million votes, because it's easy to win over the people of Edo State with flyover, and he's covering his eyes in shame. Chai. My people, why? All right, everyone, thanks so much for being a part of the program this morning. Yeah, thanks a bunch for starting the week with us. I'm Rena OBO on social media spaces, and we are AIT_online. The program will continue after now.
This award goes to the most punctual student of the entire school. And the winner is Lisa Solomon.
Something is telling me that she makes her daughter skip breakfast just to be here. You people could have just asked. I would have been happy to tell you my secret.
Enjoy instant goodness with John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate. The quickest start to your morning.
Excuse me, ma. This is your 100% in my year.
Babes, are you sure you want to spend this much on hair? Since your landlord just increased rent, I saved for this one separately on money points.
Ma, you say you save on money points?
Yes.
This Madam Money Points here, the array of hair there, his target savings money points I used to have it. The rest of this my sub is fees savings money points I used to do it. The salary of this my staff is save as you transact, son.
Jennifer, Money Point save as you transact. Money Point fixed savings and Money Point target savings.
What's up? Why did German won't contribute to it? Why should they? Come on, oh, you go give your money to Hadaku to save. You see Money Point accounts there. You know, go open a savings account. Now Hadaku you shoot. I beg everybody inside this my saloon. Oh, yeah, bring out your phone and download the Money Point app now. Even you. What are you waiting for? Download the Money Point app now. Hadaku, wow, open Money Point account.
Money Point, made for your progress.
Kakaaki, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political Platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Ray Power Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as Political Platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political Platform, now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
People, politics, and power brings context and clarity to issues and events in governance, democracy, and development. On People, Politics, and Power, we feature people who shape the events and define the issues.
A lot of the agencies are still struggling with implementation of freedom of information.
The government should come. We need Nigeria to work.
We examine the interplay and interaction of politics with power and their impact on policies and the people.
It's about getting the system to deliver the kind of electoral outcome that people will be happy with.
People, Politics, and Power with Imoni Amarere.
Will low-performing agencies be held to account? Or will the numbers fade after the headlines?
At 1 p.m. every Monday and Friday on AIT.
Thank you very much for staying with us, Kakaaki, the African Voice, this morning. Going on to the second conversation, and of course to talk about something that is, at the very least, I could call it frightening. A development that should not make anyone happy and should call for concerted efforts to resolve. Looking at the figures, approximately 50,000 women and girls worldwide are killed annually by intimate partners, people who are supposed to love them and to take care of them. How does that happen? And when you come back to Nigeria, you look at it, it's escalated into something close to a national emergency. And from what we hear, intimate partners kill their females a lot more than the other way around. Why is this so? What is going on? How do we tackle this problem in Nigeria? That's what we're looking at next. Dorothy Njemaze is joining us this morning, and she will help us to unravel all of these issues. Good morning, Dorothy.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Dorothy is the founder of Dorothy Njemaze Foundation. She's a cinematographer and also a key and avid gender advocate. I mean, just listening to you, Mr. Kunle, you said it's almost a national emergency. Some would say it is a national emergency.
Absolutely.
And at the front burner already because of the kind of cases that we're seeing emerging this morning and across Nigeria. But let's also, I mean, just without saying, the figures are frightening, but I think some would argue they're actually a bit more. And that's the ones we see with the statistics presented via data. But Dorothy, let's first of all start with, I mean, it amounts to stating the obvious that women have been killed from time immemorial, right? But what happened and when did these killings start to be tagged femicide? At what point did we become, emboldened to say this is now a tragedy too many?
Okay, so everything that affects every human being affects them differently. Things affect males differently from how they affect females. If, for instance, we had a loud bang in here, first of all, everybody will be thinking about how to save their lives. And if there was darkness in addition to the loud bang, while you're thinking about how to save your life, the chances that of the both of you, one person will be thinking about maybe I would get raped. I hope I would not get raped, is higher with the female than with the male. And even if people came in and they cited the both of you, chances that if the person was going to, if there were two people and they were going to rape, chances are that they will go to take turns with the female than, distribute themselves evenly. And so it rubs in a whole lot more the extent to which things affect females differently from how they affect males. Whether it's access to healthcare, whether it is the impact of socialization, where females have been told you are the weaker sex, in any situation, don't try to fight because you would only get injured the more. And so it's expected that if a good female who has been well taught is not going to put up any form of resistance to any form of violence that is given to them. So the impact of all this socialization, over time has made, has effectively been passed from generation to generation and has emboldened some people to dare to justify violent stances against females. And now, the fact that these lead to death or has been leading to death was very important for it to be documented enough. And for the documentation, we're able to see that a lot of sexual and gender-based violence, a lot of things that have become normative practices, since they lead to death, should be tracked. To what extent is it leading to death? Was the death avoidable? And we found out that a lot of the time, it's because people have so normalized the abuse against women. They call it things like family matter, it's husband and wife matter, it's lovers matter, it's this. And on the grounds of that, the law enforcement is failing females, refusing to incident reports of violence, and even where it is incidented, forcing settlements. And then the government is further enabling the perpetrators of perpetration of this violence by not budgeting appropriately. So when people are at risk, where do they go to? Last week, somebody needed to access the DNF shelter, and she needed to choose between her job and the DNF shelter. Now, her monthly salary is 120,000 naira. But if she was to come to the DNF shelter, transportation alone will cost her 104,000 naira. So it made more sense for her to stay in the place of abuse. Will she be alive by the end of this week? We don't know. And when these kinds of things happen, what is the cost of autopsy? Is there a coroner's court available? Who can access it other than the rich? The last autopsy we needed to do was about 500,000 naira. How many Nigerians have seen 500,000 naira cash? I mean, in a country where 20,000 naira is given as grants, business grants to people, and it is supposedly widely celebrated, by a lot of very expensive wearing wig people, shaking heads, So thinking about the fact that that is the level you're expected to operate on, and the cost of basics is by far more than the cost of what people honestly can get realistically, the disparity of what people need to live through needs to always be taken into cognizance. So access to services to investigate the cause of crime or the cause of the death of women is reduced by the day. Go to the maternity wards. The number of women who don't need to have vaginal births but are forced to have vaginal births because the man wants it that way, or the family of the man insists that they must deliver like Hebrew women, and then it endangers the life of the woman, and at the end of the day, woman dies. Who is taking account for all the loss of life?
Let me come in here because, I hear a lot of things you say in between the line, and I'm sure that you're also following the stories in the news, because last week we reported the case of a female POS operator who was, gang raped, killed and her body dumped in a nearby river in Sangotedo area of Lagos State. And this was days after another rape victim. Of course, you follow the one of a nursing student from Warri who was allegedly lured into getting raped in Asaba. The lady committed suicide after narrating her ordeal on social media. That's favor. And then clearly becoming another major concern. Of course, you saw the one that was also killed. Perhaps we don't know the incident that led to her death in the minister's residence.
Absolutely.
All of that are just case scenarios that we are seeing. Now, from the case of one person narrating her ordeal, committing suicide, one would think that she would have waited for the law. But it also seems that there was disbelief, distrust, and the lack of reliability on the law. Where is the tragedy of that? Because again, I know you've had a lot of conversations, cases that at the police where questioning and even the case scenarios, you know, were bizarre. Do you think that the law has done its course in this narrative?
I think that the law is a mere concept introduced through social studies and civic education to Nigerians. But the enjoyment of this said law remains a dream long after many people die. In communities, are people recognized as humans? If they were recognized as humans, then the support systems would be there in the first instance, right? Why is it being negotiated at all, whether there should be an autopsy report for the incident that allegedly happened, you know, on a property of a minister in Nigeria? Why is it even negotiated? Should there not have been an autopsy report that we can say would exonerate people? You know? So when I ask, what are the basics people need? Well, if you go to police station today, the cost of access to justice, that brings another thing to bear. The cost of access to justice, if a 2-year-old is raped, for instance, a 2-year-old girl, the 2-year-old girl in many police stations will need to pay for inquiry fee for them to listen before they know the direction it will take. Then you will pay for file. When you finish paying for file, you will pay for the perpetrator to be invited, perpetrator or perpetrators to be invited. Then you would also pay, now the payment for visit to crime scene is an average of 50,000 naira per visit to crime scene, right? When you finish, maybe you are the one that wants justice, you would pay for the baseline medicals. You pay for your own medicals as the 2-year-old child, and you will now pay for the medicals of the perpetrators, because a baseline assessment needs to be done as at the time the report was made. You will pay for the cost of medical reports. You would pay for the cost of subsequent investigations. You will pay for the cost of buying hard drive or flash drive if there's any of those things that exist. You would pay a whole lot. And then if the matter finally gets to court, you'll be paying for prosecutors' transport. When you pay for prosecutors' transport, if the perpetrators are remanded in a correctional facility, you would pay for the perpetrators to be transported to court every time the case comes up, in addition to the prosecutors' transportation costs. And then you would also pay for the transportation cost of witnesses, if any of such things exist. If eventually sometimes there's a whole lot more that you need to pay for, you know. For the cases that don't get to court, the mediation tables, what is the structure of the mediation tables? The ones that end up in schools, you know, the setup of the committees that oversee the investigations. Are they fair? Is the setup fair? Are those things all incidented with the police? If they're incidented with the police, is anything done about it? In November last year, 2025, an 11-year-old who we had rescued that was pregnant, her perpetrators were released by NAPTIP. We know what time of the year we are in 2026. That perpetrator still has not been charged to court. The reality of the trust people have in the law enforcement system is what they see. It's a monkey see, monkey do situation, not do as I say, you see? The people see that time has passed and nothing has happened. So if nothing is happening in that situation, it's not my own that is going to start happening in first. So the lived realities of victims or survivors is the strongest testimonial that the community has on whether or not it is worth its trusting in the law system or in the systems that are meant to be. And that's why the Dorothy Njemaze Foundation at the end of the day has done things like review, because the donor organizations have said, oh, let's prevent violence, let it not even happen. And so a lot of their investments go into prevention of violence. So DNF did a gender responsive analysis of the 2025 budgets to know the extent to which all this advocacy towards prevention is influencing the government being more responsible and budgeting effectively for the things that human lives need. Our findings were very abysmal, very, very abysmal.
We need you to talk to us about it.
Our findings were very, very, very
At least
abysmal.
give us.
We're not seeing the critical things reflecting the budget. And so again, it now means that the government of the day is living, the reality in which the government of the day lives in is far different from the reality that we survivors live in, or we victims live in, you know. They don't know what is happening. They don't know what is needed. The more we say these are the gaps, the more they try to make dissenting voices look like we are enemies of the state. You can't plait our hair or shave our hair without our heads. So if you keep on keeping us away from the table, everything you do will be amiss. If the government is more honest and listens to or looks at the kind of reports that we have come up with, you know, then the government will realistically be saving lives. I think the government's gesture towards all these issues right now is very tokenist, because even the police, so many times, matters have come up on the internet and they say, oh, nobody has reported it officially to us. Why do you need somebody to report it officially to you? What message does it send to people in this day and age, especially the young people? I mean, did you see the way the young people in Edo State celebrated the flyover? That tells you how excited people are, how desperate people are for good things of life, you know. And if the seeming good things of life are brought in a negative way, that's what people will gravitate towards. So it's high time for everybody to go back to that sense of being responsible and center all our expectations, our realities, our aspirations, our everything on our shared humanity. The government so far is failing. Has anything remarkable been done? Absolutely. But the things that have been done, in comparison with the population of Nigeria, what exists or what has been done or what intentions exist out there don't measure up with what we have. So we need more people to be empowered. We need more shelters. DNF runs a shelter. Who supports us? Which government office gives us food? Every day, at least 35 people are giving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The pregnant mothers, the expecting mothers feed more.
Go for antenatal.
Breastfeeding mothers
eat more. Little children eat more. Who is supporting us? Whether it is with raw food or it is with school fees or whatever it is, we lost a child who we couldn't find education for. We couldn't get a waiver from any place to place her in the nearest public school. And so we even take loans to keep children in school. Who is supporting us to continue with those, with all of that? Until the government gets responsible enough, the medicals, I've not even gotten to the medicals. I mentioned an 11-year-old who was in labor. She turned 12 while she was still in one of our shelters, right? And she needed to have a cesarean surgery to put to bed. If she didn't come in contact with us, she would have had a vaginal birth. She would have had VVF. And then we now hear things like, oh, surgeries, cesarean surgeries are free in Nigeria. Are the hospitals aware? There's a lot of, if it's free, then money should be given to the hospitals so that the hospitals can declare how many cesarean surgeries they have, carried out, instead of expecting hospitals to carry out free cesarean surgeries and then ask for money. It's not a healthy thing. Do I talk about the impact of the different kinds of task force that everybody is unleashing on people, and how they target females differently from the way they target males? You know, these are real-time things that are impacting on the lives of females and making being female in Nigeria a more endangering situation by the minute.
Okay, Dorothy, I'm looking at figures here. And a group that is known as the DOHS Cares Foundation tracked 133 cases in 2024, and it spiked to 197 documented deaths in 2025, just a year ago.
Those are mostly tracked by social media.
From social media accounts.
Mostly.
But I'm taking you there because I want us to look at how government agencies respond to these kinds of things. And I'll give you two examples. I'm going to read something from my phone now. This is from someone who published a book about rape prevention. And she said, years ago, I published my book on rape prevention and counseling of victims. 3 states approved it for use in their schools. And she was, long and short of it is that when it came to time to implement what the chief executives of these 3 states have openly said at a public forum, civil servants blocked the way. Scenario 2, a woman is raped by her superior officer at work. She reports it, and at the point of proving whether she was truly raped or not, the case gets stalled because prosecutor says we don't have money for DNA test.
Yes.
That's why I'm asking you, what kind of response do you get from the government agencies that are saddled with the responsibility of preventing sexual and gender-based violence and femicide?
The first question is, who is saddled with the responsibility? I would say every ministry, every department, every agency. DNF has a compendium of sector-specific solutions on inclusive leadership in Nigeria. And what that helped us to do was to see that the Ministry of Works and Housing has a role to play. If females are not, if the issues peculiar to females are not taken as seriously as they should, then there'll be a lot more femicide figures linked to that. Landlords do not give females accommodation if you don't have a man in your life. And so a lot of females are paying their rents through men. And then the man you pay your rent through will come to your house later and say, after all, your house is paid in my name. The house is paid for in my name. And, you know, there's a lot of sexual violence that has been linked to that, amongst other things. So if the Ministry of Works thinks that nothing is related to them, then the Ministry of Works is failing, and a lot of femicide is coming through that place. You know, agriculture, everything, all the schemes, the food that is being stored and everything. Who is getting this food? Where is it going to? There's the national feeding programs, there's all sorts of things. Who is funding the shelters? Who is supporting the shelters? The shelter needs electricity. What quotation of, you know, electricity supply?
Dorothy, if we keep looking at it from that,
it's important. Everybody has a role to play.
We will run out of time.
Sorry, Mr. Kunle, I want to come in here because I think we need to get this into the picture before we go. We just have about 3 minutes left. Now, I want to ask this question, and no disrespect to you, Mr. Kunle, as a male on the show. Does Nigerian misogyny have anything to do with why femicide cases are on the rise?
Absolutely.
And why are they not reported?
Absolutely, because, I mean, first of all, everybody thinks that, oh, if a woman that died, send it to the Ministry of Women's Affairs. What is the budget of the Ministry of Women's Affairs? You know, what is the function of the Ministry of Humanitarian? In seeming times of peace, there is a lot of crisis that people are facing. What are the humanitarian reliefs available to victims of violence? Everybody needs to take ownership of the thing instead of playing the ostrich and shifting into the Ministry of Women's Affairs, which is grossly underfunded. No matter the amount of goodwill that comes out from that ministry, without the requisite resources, you know, the realities will not, the lived realities of the victims would only go from bad to worse. And that's why I started breaking it down to what every ministry, department, and
I ask
agency
again, I don't think you understand
owns.
my question. Does Nigerian misogyny have anything to do with the rise in femicide cases?
Definitely, because I mean the lives of females are worse, are not as worth the lives of males to a lot of people. And this is what I'm speaking to when I say even the ministries. Okay. If you go to a political party now and you want to interact with the political party on the issues you have seen, they say, oh, there's a woman leader, go and discuss with the women's leader. Is it that the chairperson of the political party is not mentally savvy enough to engage with the issues that you need to discuss with the women leader? If he doesn't understand, how is he going to implement the basic things? National gender policy, you know, implementation of these things. The people in the legislative houses, did they not go to primary school? Let us leave any other thing. At least basic primary school should give basic understanding that you should, you know, respect each, there should be mutual respect. Our shared humanity is something that everybody should, you know, protect. But when it is time to see the things that as it affects women, then there must be something she did to bring rape rape on her. There must be something she did to make him beat her so much. There must be something she did. Her feelings should not be so valid. So the misogyny in Nigeria needs to be addressed as that. The misogyny is evident in our budgets. The misogyny is evident in, you know, the fact that we don't have safeguarding systems. The misogyny is evident in, you know, the scheduling. Go to every public place you have. There's a dress code. There are expectations from females. And those expectations don't apply to males. But let me remind us of something. Females are the ones that have, when we go through pregnancies and things, our bodies change. And when our bodies change and we are trying to fit into different things, you now get to the gate of the National Assembly or a court and they tell you, your shirt is too tight. No, my shirt is not too tight. I'm big-breasted. And that is the nature I have. There's nothing I can do about it. So unfair attention is given to women in such a way that it reduces confidence, it makes them feel guilty for reporting whatever is uncomfortable, and then when they report too much, you are a troublesome woman, and you know, if you cannot afford to pay, which is the reality of so many people, then there's nothing else they can do.
One key advice to government.
Everybody will have their 6 feet below. And you don't expect us to celebrate you if you have lived your life ensuring that many of us die. Many Nigerians are dead people working, and the government is failing us more and more, especially females. And so weaponizing poverty, weaponizing the incompetence, gross incompetence, is doing no good. Your generations unborn will suffer it because we will tell your stories exactly for what it is. We are not going to polish you.
All right, we have to leave it there this morning, Dorothy. I began this morning on a very enthusiastic note, but I'm a bit not. This is not sober. I'm almost in tears because the picture you've painted this morning. I grew up among girls, so I understand where this is in the milieu of our national life, really, and it's stunning that until you painted it this way, quite a lot of these things looked normal. And I'm sure we'll pick it up from there and talk more about it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dorothy. All right, we've been talking about femicide in Nigeria and how to tackle it with Dorothy Njemanze, who is a media and development strategist and women rights defender, the CEO of Dorothy Njemanze Foundation. Thank you once again for coming on the show. Okay. And that's where we call it a wrap on Kakaaki, the African Voice, this Monday morning. Do join us again on Tuesday for another edition of the program. Wherever you are, whatever you do, stay safe. I am Kunle Adewale.
My name is Adora Sidney Jack. Stay hydrated and remember,